Hey everybody, we're live. It's Nina Hart, president of the NNBA, and Casey Goff, member engagement coordinator on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon-ish, noonish. How's everybody doing? I'm going to open up the chat just so you guys know if you're on. We love to talk to you. We love to hear from you. We love your feedback. I'm going to fade out my AI acoustic music now, even though I don't want to. I'm going to do it. Chat is open. And today we're talking about a topic that I am really excited about because it's one that I feel like I talk about a lot, even inadvertently, even when I don't mean to talk about it. It seems like it comes up because I do think it's one for sure that heavily affects nurses' business success, just the whole outcome. So, we set up this business, we get this business set up, and I was pondering in the car the other day, like, we think the hard part is starting a business. That's the easy part. Getting an LLC is easy. Registering your business online is easy. Making your business name and your business card and your logo is easy.
And exciting.
And fun.
Yeah.
So you do all these, hey, Maureen. Hi from Wilmington. So, we do all the fun parts. And then all of a sudden we get to the hard part where it's like, oh, shoot, now I have to sell this thing that I came up with. And I don't want to sell because I'm a nurse and I don't sell things. I take care of people and I help people, right? So I think building visibility and authority is the easiest answer to the question of how do I grow my business? How do I get my business making money? How do I get my business off the ground? How do I start? And I think that's what nurses are really asking me when they ask, how do I start? Because most of the time they already have an LLC. They already have a business card. They already have a name. They already have all these things. They're really asking, how do I make money? How do I get clients? Hello. Hi from Ontario. Hey, Ramona. Glad you're here. So I think, to me, building visibility and authority, really the heart of it translates to getting clients and making money. Whether or not we really equate the two, it's one of the strategies as to how you can really, really grow your business.
Yeah, I agree. And since you've done such a good job with this, I just have a question about how you did this. So why do you think it's like so hard for people to get there? Like, why is it so hard for nurses to put themselves out there as experts? Do you think it's insecurity, or like just feeling like they're not ready, or they're not sure, or what do you think holds people back from starting to put themselves out there?
Good question. All of the above. D, all of the above. I think, like, as nurses, we know so much. And this is what I encounter every day when I talk to nurses. We know so much that we don't take credit for, that we assume everyone knows, right? We have knowledge that we assume is common knowledge that is not. So we devalue our expertise because of that. And then it's kind of a two-edged sword because we also just assume that other people know that we know certain things. So there's kind of this, well, I shouldn't have to say this. You should already know. And this, I'm not going to brag because I just assume everybody knows this and there's nothing special about what I know. So it's like this weird balance between not wanting to be proud and boastful. And it is, I will say, like, I have experienced a twinge of grossness and like, fear of what other people think. I almost said FOMO. It's not the same thing. I'm old and misusing little here. But like, when we put ourselves out there, there is a certain level of discomfort with saying, I know this stuff, because what if somebody comes back and says, do you really? Or what if somebody says, no, she doesn't? Or what if somebody's like, well, everybody knows that? Or, you know what I mean? Like, there's this certain level of discomfort to saying that you're an expert in something. I am alleging I am an expert in this, and now I have to really show up and do it if somebody asks me. So it's like
Mhm.
this fear factor, it's this pride factor, it's this putting yourself out there and being seen factor, when nurses are usually not the center of the attention, right? We're usually behind the scenes.
Right.
We're doing the important stuff, but we're almost never recognized for it. Usually, you know, the doctor gets credit, or the patient gets credit. They showed up and they did the things they needed to do and they got better, right?
Mhm.
Or there's this kind of unspoken rule that nurses are working behind the scenes. And so I think it goes a little bit against the grain to talk about visibility and authority and like putting yourself out there. And I think that's where it kind of gets a little bit scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Sometimes, I mean, even at the beginning, like me doing these live calls, I was like embarrassed to do them or scared to do them because I'm like, I don't know everything that you know, and I don't want people to be like, what does she know? So I definitely agree with you on that. So I know that we kind of talked about like some key strategies being like leveraging social media. And that is another thing that I've noticed you've been really good at. And that's something that you've taught me a lot about. So, I mean, obviously, you've been doing this for a while. Like, what mistakes have you made or what things have you done? Um, Sorry, I love reading the comments right
I
as they
know,
come
me
through.
too.
What's like a common mistake that you see nurses making when they're trying to grow their visibility, and what mistakes have you made that you had to learn from?
Um, I I have an answer to both of those questions that is is both. So a mistake I made that I see other nurses make is like just putting your stuff out there and assuming that people know what it is and will just buy it. And so then you feel super disappointed and you feel like no one cares and no one needs this and no one's supporting me and I'm going to fail. So like I'll see a nurse like throw their link out there, just throw it out there and be like, I'm doing this. That's great, and I support you, but no one but your mom and me probably care, right? So, like, you
Right,
have to make it appealing. You have to we talked about, I think last week, about how what you do needs to meet a need.
yeah,
There's someone out there who truly needs what you offer.
right,
You have to make sure your messaging, usually it's a messaging issue. Everything I see about visibility is a messaging issue. We don't know how to message ourselves well because
right,
we're not salespeople for the most part. And so we just assume, like, you need this. I know you need this. Just buy it. Right. And
right,
that makes a lot of sense, except that you have to appeal to what their needs are and how you want to help them. You have this passion in your heart for helping people. You have to make sure they understand that if you're experiencing this, it could be because of this, and I can help you with that. That's what I do.
right.
Yeah, Casey, posting is not marketing. That's true. And I
Mhm.
think I see, and that's kind of sad because I see nurses who are very competent experts in their area not getting clients, not being seen because they're just posting out of this. Some of it is maybe unintentionally selfish, like, I just want you to buy this, right? I just want to sell this to make sure that I have this thing. And that's not I don't say that in a negative way. I've done that too. Like, I need to make a sale to know that this is going to work, or I need to see that this is going somewhere, or I really want this to work and maybe I'm just not getting it out there, so I'm just going to post it everywhere. And
Right,
that's fine, but that doesn't position you as the expert. When you're building authority, you need to show that you're the expert in this area. So what you share needs to be of value. It has to be a value add to the person to show, like, I actually can help you with this. If you can't give away enough, this is something that I've really struggled with and that a lot of nurses struggle with. Oh, well, if I tell them the secret, then I won't have anything I won't make any money or I won't get any clients. If you could read an article about weight loss and lose 100 pounds, then yes, that might be a threat, right? But no one really, what percentage of people who say, I need to lose weight, I'm going to buy a healthy eating magazine, read an article in it, and lose the weight? And then they do. Hardly anyone.
yeah. Because everyone knows how to lose the weight. It's just
Right.
like the accountability. finding someone that can help you, like with your macros. And something I did want to point out too, and you might have said this like in other words, but when you walk into a patient's room and you say, "Hi, I'm Casey, I'm going to be your nurse. The doctor ordered this for you," they are trusting you and assuming like, okay, this person knows what they're supposed to be doing. This person knows what they're doing. They went to school for this. The doctor ordered it for them. So you have that confidence. Like they know I'm a professional. They know I'm an expert. And I think when you branch out, like you don't have that confidence that like everyone else trusts you. Whereas when I go to a patient and I'm a psych nurse and I say, the doctor says we need to go up on your Tegretol and we need to get your blood work for this and we need to do this and that and the other, they're like, okay, well, she knows what she's saying. This is what she does. But if I said, okay, but I'm also going to sell this psych nurse starter kit online and I'm a professional, like I'm an expert, does everyone else know and trust that I really am an expert? So that just kind of is what I wanted to add on to what you were saying about just like trust other people believing you and thinking, what if they don't?
And I think the way that that translates exactly what you're saying is by showing up with authority and that expertise and if you keep that all to yourself because you're worried that you won't make money without it or that you're giving too much away, then you're losing the opportunity to build that know, like, and trust and validation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you get paid for implementation, not information. That's right. I like that. You should TM that somewhere. Implementation, not information. That's really great, Casey. Thank you. The other story I wanted to tell really quick because you reminded me of it when you were talking about like how you were kind of hesitant to show up for lives.
Mm-hmm.
In 2020 or 2021, I did the Nursepreneurs Pitch Fest. And I don't know if you remember this, but I had to submit a 2-minute pitch and a 5-minute pitch of my company of Heart Healthcare Solutions via video to qualify for the live pitch. Now, I've done a ton of Zoom trainings for teams, right? For hospice. I've spoken in front of now at this point I hadn't spoken at all in front of like a audio like a conference, but I had spoken
Mm-hmm.
for education purposes.
Right.
Recording that 2-minute pitch and that 5-minute pitch took me over 100 tries. And of course, Jed picked up my phone and was like, "Hey, this is Jed from Heart Healthcare Solutions." Ran through the whole entire thing start to finish in one take and was
Of
like, "Why are you
course.
making this so hard? It's so easy." And I'm like, "Because I sound
Okay.
like a robot and I look like
Yeah.
in a trance. Like I couldn't
Yeah. So
connect
awkward.
the camera and I couldn't execute my script and it was so painful. And now I feel like in some ways just the discipline of showing up, like you're definitely more comfortable on lives now, even
Yeah.
after you, the discipline of just showing up and just sharing who you are,
Mm-hmm.
it really stands for really makes the
What was
air
that?
conditioner.
No, what is
You hear
it?
that?
No.
Super loud, like refrigerator kicked on. I know it's not yours and I don't have a refrigerator.
No, I don't. I would hear it if it was mine.
It's weird. It's like a
Yeah.
robot, like a transformer noise.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You still hear it?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, a little
Oh,
bit.
should I mute myself?
Try.
I don't know how.
Okay. Then it's fine.
I don't know why I even offered.
It doesn't matter. It's not bad.
Um,
It's not that bad. But
well,
it really has a lot of value just to show up and share yourself with people. And I think nurses underestimate that people don't care or that they don't have anything to offer or that they don't know what to talk about or they don't have a content strategy or all these things and if that then this and it's like we just overcomplicate the heck out of it, right? And it
yeah,
just doesn't have to be that hard. It can just be sometimes like sharing something that really means something to you or that might connect or might not connect with somebody
yeah,
else. And I think we underestimate and undervalue that a lot.
yeah. I also think like I struggled with that a lot because, with being an LPN, I just thought I was not qualified to do anything. And I was like, no one will ever, well, because they kind of make you feel that way. Like when you're in school and stuff, like make sure you become an RN, make sure you go you go back so you can like be a real nurse. And I always just felt like no one's ever going to take advice from me or do anything for me because buy anything from me because I'm not an RN, which has been such a I held myself back in that way because I've had now, my little side hustles for over 2 years. I've made good
Yep.
money and I have a doctor that trusts me fully. And within all my jobs, I have so much respect. And I just feel like, okay, you got to get out of your own head, whether it's being afraid to pitch your product or being afraid that you don't have enough schooling or being afraid that people don't trust you. If they don't trust you, then they're not your clientele. That's fine.
I really like that you said that because I feel like that's a huge thing and I see that all the time. And I literally just talked to a nurse last week that was like, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back for my degree in business and I'm going to pay for a degree in AI because I want to do consulting. And I'm like, I don't know how to say this in a way that doesn't sound like I'm devaluing education. I hope that everybody knows that with a PhD and a master's, I deeply value education, right? Like it's not that. But if you are going back to school thinking that piece of paper is going to give you the confidence to start your business, no matter what it says, no matter if it says business MBA, if it says AI,
Smartest person alive.
smartest person. Congratulations, you're now the smartest person alive. It doesn't matter. It will not. No one, not one client I've ever had has asked me to see my diploma or my credits or my transcripts. They don't care. Have you helped someone through survey before? Yes, I have. Well, you're good with us then. They want to know what
Right.
you've done. They want to know
Right.
how you've helped people like them with the problem that they're having. And
Exactly.
I think that we sometimes in an effort of like self-protection, like, well, I'm not good enough unless I do XYZ and then I'll be good enough. And it's like, no, that's not true. You have the expertise, you have the qualifications you need, you have everything you need to be a business owner. And I also say, like, and again, I'm definitely not belittling gas station owners, but anybody can go open a gas station and open a franchise or a Chick-fil-A or Culver's. You don't have to have a business degree for that. You don't have to be a nurse for that. You don't, so any nurse can open any business they want. You don't have to have a degree or a certificate or even a license.
Yeah.
I've talked to nurses, and if you're not doing nursing care and using your nursing license, you don't have to have a nursing license to run a gas station, right? So you can run any kind of business you want. There's very little other than our translatable skills that business requires. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like these are things that keep us from showing up as who we need to be. But the issue is like there's very few rules in business other than like the laws that we're required to follow. Like business does not conform to the same policies and procedures and checklists for nursing, and they don't exist in business for starting a business in most situations, right? You
Right.
can try and Google that, but it's probably not there. You have to come up with it yourself. And it's not going to be like anything else. And that's the whole point. The whole
Yeah.
point is that yours is going to be different and it's going to be you and it's going to be unique. And that's what's going to make it great.
Yeah.
Yes,
It-
schools give us the knowledge, but business requires the confidence that comes from experience, from your expertise, from what you've learned, from what your process and approach is that is different from anybody else's.
for sure. For sure. That's like in sales, what they always say is like you can teach a nurse how to take a blood pressure, you can teach someone how to use a system, but you can't teach people how to like talk to people and be empathetic. And I think you have to learn how to do that over time. Um, so something else that we had kind of talked about was like engaging in collaborations and networking. And I know that's a very intimidating subject for some people. So, what is something that has helped you? Obviously, you've made it up to president of the NMBA by meeting the right people and making relationships with these people and proving your competence and your ability. So, how can you make these new relationships without feeling like awkward and icky? Because sometimes it feels very salesy and like I'm just messaging you to tell you about my new product, or
The answer to this is very counterintuitive, and it's not the answer you think it would be. I had so much success in this area because I had to change my mindset around the value that I was taking away from conversations. So I started to feel like at one point, like I need to be selling, selling, selling. I took this advice from this business coach, and you got to be getting leads and lead generation and ads and workshops. And those things are great. Nothing wrong with that. But when I kind of changed my mindset around, like, when I saw that that wasn't working for me and it didn't feel good and it didn't feel aligned, I kind of pivoted my strategy to I will talk to anyone about anything and I will not sell them anything at all. So I
right?
started having conversations. I started reaching out on LinkedIn. I started reaching out to NNBA members and saying, like, hey, I want to learn more about what you're doing. That is like my signature go-to line to open up every conversation. And then if they said yes, they were willing to tell me about themselves, I would be like, can we hop on a Zoom when works for you? And I would
Yeah,
get on Zoom with them. And the key here is I literally just learned about them. And when you show up with the heart to serve, like, I just want to learn about you and what you need. I really believe that you'll be connected with the right people at the right time, that you'll have the opportunities that you need, and that you'll also get clients from that. Because half the time, those phone calls would end with something like, well, wait, how can I help you? Or what do you do? Hold on.
yeah,
Like, people are not unaware that, like, you exist, right? Especially
yeah.
when you're having a one-on-one conversation, they're like, well, wait a second, I just told you all about everything I need and you offered to help me, right?
Right.
What do you
Just
need?
kind
And
of
I'm like,
there.
well, if
Yeah.
you know any hospices, connect me. And they would. Or even by the end of some calls, I'd be like, tell me how things are going in your business. And half the time nurses would say, I really want to create a course and I'm totally stuck. I don't know how. I really want to start consulting and I can't figure out what my specialty is. And I would help them through it right there on that call. They were not a client of mine. I was not their coach. I would say, well, it sounds like you're trying to do this, but your expertise is actually in this. And you could market that as a consulting education or as a license it as a program, or here's what I use for my courses, and show them my course and just give them resources that I had or things that I had learned along the way that I thought might be helpful. And not only did that result in real true relationships that have supported me for 5 years now, but it also resulted in clients who came back and said, I took your advice and it's going really well, but now I'm ready to go to the next level and I want to pay you for coaching. Literally, like, that would come back to me when I never sold them anything. And so
Yeah.
I think it goes back to authentic communication and authenticity, and showing up as who you are and with the heart to serve and not to sell. And I think my pet peeve that I really get on to nurses about is trying to sell when you have nothing to sell. Like, I see this so much, is that nurses are like, I need to sell. I need to sell. I need to make money. I need to get my stuff out there. And I'm like, well, what are you selling? I don't know. I don't have a product yet. And I'm like, well, then what are you getting out there? You don't have a product to sell. How are you
Right.
selling? What are you going
You
to make
should
an
just be
ad?
making relationships at this
What
point.
website are you trying to pay $5,000 to build when you have nothing to sell on it? Like,
Mhm.
that selling comes last. Selling comes after you you do all these other steps and you feel confident in what you have to offer and you build relationships and network. Then you can say, I also have this I can offer you. I also can support you in this way. Framing it as a relationship building has helped me relax and enjoy, as I am not trying to sell. Good. I'm glad. That it helped me a lot as well. It really did. It really helped me feel like there's no pressure here. I'm not trying to get anything out of you. I'm just trying to support you. And if you need my help, you'll ask for it. And, or if I hear a need, I'll offer, how could I help you support that need? And maybe that's not even paid. I'm just going to help support you by connecting you to somebody else, right? Or making a referral.
Right. Well, that kind of leads me into my next question I was going to ask you, but really kind of answered the question, is just kind of talking about like speaking engagements, guest features on podcasts or blogs or whatever. Sometimes that seems sort of like out of reach, but I think when you get to know people and just kind of say, hey, this is what I do, like keep me in mind. I love to make online content for nurses. Then when they want to do a podcast or something like that about that, they'll think, oh, I need to call Nina because she does this. I mean, we've had this conversation. Who can we feature on these lives? Who can we feature on other events that we have that we would like to plan? You know, like it does kind of plant the seed. So I think that's really important too. If you're wanting to get into guest features or speaking engagements or any kind of books or blogs or anything like that, you have to know these people. They're not going to just ask you, they're not going to have a dream about someone they never knew and ask you on LinkedIn.
You're right. And I think I think I heard a really good strategy that I at one point in time that I started to follow for that, which is instead of selling yourself and marketing yourself as what you want to talk about, when you're reaching out for speaking engagements, and I know this to be true now also from doing the NNBA speaking agenda, think about their audience and what their audience wants to hear and appeal to that, and you will get featured. So if you applied to be a speaker at the NNBA and you thought like what do nurses in business want to hear about, well, they probably want to hear about imposter syndrome, or they probably want to hear about how to make more money. Then that is when I see that application for a speaker, I'm like, yes, they do want to hear, they need those topics, and so we want to feature that person. So
right.
you're going on a podcast that's about fitness, you don't want to come on and say, I'm a nurse entrepreneur and I want to talk about how you can make more money. And it's like, well, that might be great for a nurse entrepreneur audience. But if you're going to be featured on a fitness podcast, you might want to talk about how nurse entrepreneurs can still work out 3 times a week and, you know, or whatever your, however you want to apply that to their
Or how
audience.
you could be a nurse health coach.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You want to make sure anything you offer is completely focused on meeting a need of somebody else instead of, and it sounds so simple, but it really is like sometimes we get in our own head and we're like, I need this to happen for me. And so this is what I offer and it's so good and I just have to get it out there. And it's like, well, you know, you're kind of preaching to the choir because the people who know they need it aren't the people, what people are you trying to reach? So it's like
Right.
being very aware of who you're speaking to and what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So I guess another question I would have, which kind of goes hand in hand with what we talked about earlier, but what would be the best way to kind of gain credibility through these? Like, do testimonials gain the most credibility? I know you've told your story a lot about moving all the way to Hawaii and then being fired from like your dream position, or is it better to use like client success stories? How do you feel like is the best way to boost credibility once you start having customers?
I think any kind of story is a good story. People love stories. People love gossip. People love to hear your life as a train wreck. You know, like this is what people want
Others'
to hear.
misfortune.
Right. And I think getting testimonials is really challenging sometimes. Especially when you don't have a huge volume of clients. I've seen that getting a testimonial is really hard. I think you got to, number one, take it where you can get it. So if you have something that somebody puts a comment on or puts something in writing, snatch that up and take a screenshot and let them know you're going to use that. And use any that you can get, you know. And then I also think like our story is a testimonial, like my story of being fired, and then that's how I started my consulting business. That is my testimonial of how I started my business. And I also think like you can share client experiences that you've seen, even if you don't have any directly from the client. Like it's great to have them directly from the client, but when you're first starting out, that's really hard. And you can also, I really try not to encourage pro bono work too much because I feel like we need to be paid for our expertise. So I'm not a huge proponent of taking a bunch of free clients. I don't I don't like that, other than if you really need a confidence boost and you can't get started any other way. But I can almost guarantee you'll regret that after the first, I'm going to say
Minute.
10 hours. I'm going to say after
Okay.
10 hours of work, you're going to be like, I'm never doing anything for free again, because you deserve to be paid for your time. However, you can always exchange that time for a testimonial and say, I'm willing to give you this outcome if you will write a testimonial or record a testimonial. The problem is half the time you probably won't get it, because testimonials are hard. The reason I say this, and one thing you can do to counter this, is to say, I've typed it. I know people don't like this. People do not like this, but I have done it. I've typed up this testimonial based on what you told me last week, and I would like to share it. Is that okay with you? Is there anything you'd want changed? You literally type up the whole
Do it
thing.
for
Like,
them.
last week, Casey shared with me that she had the most inspiring outcome because of our services. And Casey shared that before we started talking, she felt like this, and now she feels like this, and she's seen this huge transformation. Last week, she said, I quote, "This has changed my life." And you send it to that person typed out like that and say, is this what you would like me to say? Or would you like to rewrite this? They don't ever want to rewrite. They're like, yep, fine. You know what I mean? Like, no one
Yeah.
wants to be responsible for writing what you want them to say. And they're like, oh, it doesn't sound good. And even sometimes it really doesn't sound good. Sometimes it's like, so glad I started this program, and, definitely grateful for the time. And you're like, well, that's great, and I'll
Horrible.
use it,
Yeah.
but it's not very specific, right? There's no specific outcome there. There's no specific feeling or win or any, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
so half the time it's better to do it yourself and send it over and ask them to put their signature of approval. Then you've got it in writing that they're okay with it.
Right.
Word it however you want. So that's generally what I recommend.
Yeah. That's actually a good idea, because I feel like you get reviews. I've always thought this. You get reviews based off of. I think that is actually my air conditioner.
Super
I
loud.
just couldn't hear it because
Yeah.
I have these in.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I think they're
sorry
just
about
on
that.
like sound
Noise
blocking. Yeah,
cancellation.
yeah.
That's why I was like, what is she talking about? But then I just heard it that time. Sorry about that.
No, that's
If I'm inside, Millie's jumping around. If I'm out here, my computer's overheating and the air conditioning's going. But so lost my train of thought there. But I was gonna say, if people leave reviews, a lot of times, like when I did sales for like Verizon, we were always taught really, really angry customers and really, really happy customers will leave reviews, but people that had like a good experience, just like, yeah, I'd go there again. That's good. Don't ever.
yeah.
So it's like you might get the one that's like, this was the best thing I've ever done, this coaching program, or one that's like, this isn't worth my money. But the one that's like, yeah, I had great success, but now I'm busy and I don't want to do a testimonial.
Yeah.
So I agree that it is a good way to do that. It's just to send it to them.
I also think that when you're talking about coaching, Maureen said, I've traded coaching for testimonials and it's worked well during and right after training and certification. I think that's a really good point, that it's just to get started, right? You want to make sure you've got those clients who are happy. I also think that people who don't pay for your service don't have, and this could be controversial, I don't know, maybe I'm, unpopular opinion, don't have as positive as outcomes because they have no skin in the game. They don't have anything on the line here, because they're getting a free service. And so I do find that people who are willing to pay you, they're willing to pay top dollar to get their problem solved, because it's a really big, painful problem. And something that I learned early on was speaking to the pain and the promise. When you're trying to get clients, you want to talk about what their pain is and what you're promising to help them with. And so, those, when you're creating content and when you're creating visibility, you want to speak to what is the pain that your potential clients are experiencing and what is the promise that you give them. This was from James Cooper. He's a storytelling video coach. I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. That I did not come up with that, but he would talk about, and I really connected with that, because what is the pain your potential clients are in? If it's weight loss, it's that they're overweight. That's their pain. Their pain is that they're unhappy with how they look. They're unhappy with what they eat. They're unhappy with their level of exercise, their health. They're very unhappy in their current weight. The promise is, if you do what I say, I will help you lose weight and you won't feel that way anymore. So the promise is you'll have energy again. You'll be happy with what you eat. You'll feel confident in your body. You'll lose 50 pounds. Now, the promise isn't, I guarantee no matter what you do, as long as you pay me this money, you'll lose the weight. No, the promise, the guarantee you can offer as a provider is, if you follow my advice, especially for consulting and coaching. For consulting, I'm going to give you the strategy. If you actually execute on it, you'll experience this outcome. For coaching, we're going to find the strategy together. The strategy's inside of you. I'm going to help draw it out. If you do it, if you follow the steps and do the work, you'll see the outcome, right? So, those are things that you can really use your messaging when you create content. Maureen said, once I had experience, I found that free clients are not as engaged. They're not as willing to do the work. They don't have anything to lose. And I found that as well.
Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of really good information here. So for someone that's watching this or not watching this or will watch it later, if they're feeling unsure to start or stuck, what would be like your number one takeaway from this call? Like from just to put themselves out there, to build confidence and just to encourage them.
Yeah, I think there's no way you're going to build visibility and authority without showing up. I don't think it's possible. So I think you're going to have to put yourself out there and take some risks, even calculated risks, like just showing up, just putting yourself out there that this is what I do and this is how I can help, and starting to get comfortable with talking about it and sharing, reaching out to people and saying, hey, I'd love to have a conversation. One last tip I would say, and this is something that makes people very uncomfortable that I have done extensively, is reach out to people who are doing the same thing you want to do and ask them to have a conversation in full transparency. I love what you're doing. I want to do it too. Will you share with me about your company, about how you started, about what you do? And I have had so many people just give it all. Like, how can I help you? Here's how you could structure your packages. Here's what I do for contracts. Just go all out to help support me. And a lot of the times, even though we do the same thing, it's totally different and they're actually not my competition. And in the end, we find a way to refer to each other, right? We don't actually do the exact same thing. We serve different people in a different way. And we find that way to collaborate together and to build each other up. And it ends up being a super productive call. So I would really encourage you that if you're stuck or if you're not sure how you should be showing up to build authority, that you would get with somebody, reach out to somebody, make a connection with somebody who is doing what you want to do and doing it well, and saying like, how are you doing that? Could you talk to me about it? And see what they say. Worst you'll get is no.
Yeah, but the scarcity mindset will hold you back anyway. There's enough for everybody. It comes down to like not only just what you're offering, but like personality type or work schedule, or maybe what you charge. Like maybe you and I do the exact same thing, but I want people under 30. You want people over 30. I charge 2,000 and you charge 20,000.
Right.
Then that person wouldn't be for you anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Doing the same thing, but it's a different demographic. So, well,
awesome.
That's great. I think we have a lot of really good information about just like building visibility and authority. And I think that can be kind of hard for people starting out because they feel like I put all this effort into starting and now I'm stuck. So,
and I also want to just plug that we have some really good content coming up at the conference about just expertise in general. All of our speakers, not even specific. We have a bunch of really good strategies at the conference, but I also want to say like just the expertise of our speakers themselves and being in the same room with them and hearing about what they're doing, you learn so much. I know we have Bridget Montez is doing demystifying SEO, how to get found online without the overwhelm of social media. So I just wanted to plug that one. Teresa Sanderson is doing how lead magnets drive sales and grow your business. So we do have some super specific content. Donna Cardillo is doing power networking, the key to business success. So right in line with these topics we've got a ton of super specific topics. And Michelle Podlesny, the previous president, is doing a marketing you from pitch to profit pre-con. So if you're stuck on visibility, authority, marketing, showing up, being seen, putting yourself out there, being found, all we have so
Yeah,
many good topics at this conference that will help you with that. So I just had to plug that,
I
because
can't believe I did it. It's
I
so
know
hot out
I'm
here.
like,
I can't even
Lacey,
think.
she's not going to do it. She's going to
I'm
make
like,
me do it.
I
It's okay.
know.
I had it on my mind. I had it on my mind that I wanted to make sure that, it's great to sit here and listen to us talk about this live and to chat through questions and to chat about, different areas that we could help and give tips. But this conference, if you're looking for meat and you're like, no, this advice is great and it's inspiring, but I need meat. I need strategy. I need something specific. I need specific guidance. That is really where you're going to get it, is at the conference. And a lot of these speakers are so willing. And I know this because I know them personally. They're my friends, are willing to talk to you after. They're willing to sit down and get coffee with you at the conference. That's what this is all about, is that networking component and that relationship building component is really what it's about. So I would love to see you there. I don't think so. No, the conference is in person, so we do have recordings of certain classes and different pre-con workshops and things like that. And I can put the link in there to the store if you just want to look at like the e-learning center where we've got different topics. There are like workshops in there that are specific to things, but the conference itself is in person in Vegas, July 17th through 19th. And no one's ever been more excited than these two people right here. Like, everyone I know, I apologize in advance if you know me and you are like, if I hear about this conference one more time, I will die. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's all I think about. Yeah.
I can't help it. It's all I think about. It's the most exciting event of my life for the last 5 years. So
And she's had 5 kids, 4 kids.
okay, second, third, fourth, fifth most exciting event of my life. Maybe sixth if I count Mary and Jetty, but it's a very exciting time for us to be able to be in person together, and it builds that camaraderie and that networking that you just don't get online. You just don't. You're not going to get this out of a messenger conversation or even a Zoom call. Sitting with someone in person and listening to their story and sharing your story and asking them questions and picking their brain, it is highly, highly valuable. So I can't wait.
I am excited.
All
Well,
right.
I am looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see everybody there.
Me too. Bye, guys.